All right, so here we are. We've added some stuff to our scene. We've got our exterior added in. We've got some graphics in the monitors. We've got some CG astronauts, and we have some CG books also in the foreground. And we've brought back the basket kind of on top. And now there's still a gaping hole here on the left monitor where we need to add our newscaster. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I brought in the elements that I'm gonna need. We've got, with the graphics, we have a graphics 3, which is a pre-rendered element that somebody else has designed already. We're going to also bring in a plate that came from production. Let me bring in both of those and see which one it is. Yeah, perfect. It's element 1 here is the newscaster with his green screen. Let's make sure that they're in the right color spaces. So being interpreted correctly. Came in as ACES 2065. That is actually correct for this one. Production has told us that that is the color space that this footage is in. For the CG graphic, that one, we know that it's actually supposed to be ACES CG, as specified by the vendor doing it. Okay, make sure that's interpreted correctly. I'm gonna double click and take a look at it. So you can see here we have some alpha baked in. We have a simple lower thirds and a little news bug that says live. That'll go in the corner. It's kind of empty there where we can put whatever text we want for this shot. So the first thing I'm gonna do is hop down into our monitors. Let's go into the left screen. Actually, first I'm gonna organize them a little better. Elements, graphics, make sure the graphics live there. We'll make sure this plate goes with plates. Oh, looks like I already brought it in. Awesome, I'll get rid of one. Okay, I'm gonna bring both of those down into this comp. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and immediately pre-comp these. And we'll call it Newscaster work. We're gonna kind of treat it as a self-contained element that will do all the work in there, kind of create it as a piece that would then go into the video player, almost like it's its own shot. All right, I'm gonna go in there. I'm just gonna change the composition resolution to a simple HD, 1920 by 1080. I know that that resolution is gonna be plenty for this scenario. There, you can see even at 100% scale, a 1920 by 1080 is gonna sit like this in our graphics. And he's gonna end up being a bit smaller anyway. And I can see right now, I'm just kind of taking a look to see how he'll fit. And it looks like this is gonna be pretty great. All right, I'm gonna go back down into the work. We need to key him. We're going to then also add kind of a simple newscaster background. Makes him feel like he's in a studio or something. And then of course we'll add some text and some fake news stuff. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is key him. You'll notice that if I was to fit his plate to the to this comp, you'll see that he's got his massive studio bathtub almost. He's sitting in there. We have liberty to control this plate and rescale it to make it fit in the scene. If we were to take this and look at how this is going up here in the main work, you'd see that he is tiny, very small. So we're gonna instead pretend that it's a much closer camera angle on the newscaster. I'm actually gonna go to his plate here and I'm gonna scale him up. And we'll go with pretty large, kind of find a nice framing so you get a little bit of his desk. Let's try something like that. I forgot one thing here. It's always a good idea to do a pre-comp of each kind of asset or plate by itself. So if I go in there, I've got a newscaster plate with nothing on it. I'm not gonna have any effects here. And this makes it really easy if we need to do later any like little paint work or different things to this. We can also swap in the new plate really easily. We don't have to worry about it being used in multiple instances throughout the comp. So there will be only one location that these EXRs are sitting like this. I'm gonna go back up. And now here, I will do the Keylight. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw the Keylight. And this should be a pretty simple key. I'm gonna go ahead and do the eyedropper. I like to use Control to grab a little bit larger sample size. Okay, if I turn on alpha, that's actually looking pretty great. Took a little bit out of his desk, but that is not very worrying. The main thing I'm worrying about here is that none of the key is coming through him or his skin. And it looks like we're in pretty good shape. But I'm gonna go ahead and fix this table here. So to do that, I'm gonna go really quickly into the screen mat. I'm gonna clip white, start pulling that to the left. As I do that, the desk is getting fixed. There we go, it didn't take much. Just bringing it down to about 90. It seems to do the trick. There's a little bit, you can see his desk here, where the reflection of the green screen was happening. That's totally getting keyed out. So what we can do to fix that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off for a second. I'm actually just gonna do a really quick roto mask and I'll just bring back on top all of this stuff down here that I know has nothing to do with the green screen. So what I'm gonna do is this, and then I'm actually just gonna de-spill the green down here. So a lot of different ways you can do de-spilling. There's a bunch of different effects. They all work and do similar things. I'm just going to do an advanced spill suppressor for this one. And I'm just going to leave it on, I'm going to leave it on standard this time. I'll double check his hands, make sure they're not being affected too much. I'm going to go ahead and unsolo that. All right, so now if I turn that on and off, you can see we're bringing back the table. It's nice and gray. Not in love with this black bar either here. I'm just going to remove it really quick because we're going to replace this background anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract out. And this is the layer that has the Keylight on it. I'm going to go ahead and subtract out that. Feather that just a hair. Okay. And we'll just add back where this blue bar is. I'm not worrying about getting too perfect with that. I don't think it'll be seen at the end. At least it's much better than having that black bar. Okay. Now we're just going to need to do a background for him and some text. So for the background, I'm gonna go ahead and just start with like a solid. We'll do desatty blue kind of thing. Put that on the bottom, name it background. I might actually put a fill on it. I'm just gonna eyedrop the original thing. Now I can come in here. We can change it more easily with a fill. Now let's do some cool looking little kind of motion graphic-y backgrounds that have slow moving elements. Let's go ahead and do something like that. So I'm gonna make another blue solid. We'll make it a little brighter, more saturated. Let's just scale it up, add some stripes, varying widths. Take those, let's make them kind of slashy here. Kind of cool. Let's try adding a little drop shadow. Ooh, there we go. There's a cool effect that gives it a cool shiny look. What is it called? Light sweep. Aha, I think CC, yeah, that's it. CC light sweep. This is really cool. You can just kind of really easily guide these little shiny little spots. Maybe I'll add another one, put it over here. Kind of adds these nice little dimensionality to them. Makes them feel almost like they're CG. I'm gonna wanna add some animation to this. Let's maybe add, just do a keyframe at the front, keyframe at the back, and we'll just kind of like have them shift over a bit. Let's just go ahead and see if that's a comfortable amount of speed. We don't want it to be too distracting. Let's just do a little less. There we go. Looking pretty cool. Maybe we'll play a little bit with the color of these. Have that at the beginning of it before everything else so I can kind of control some different stuff here. They actually look good when they're more desatted. In the background, maybe I actually want that to be darker. Yeah, something kind of like that. It's kind of cool. Ooh, we should add, let's definitely add a little motion to light sweep itself. So if we just add a little keyframe onto the center for these, we can just kind of do the same thing we just did for the other motion. We'll just add a little bit of right. It's very subtle, but these will also be shifting to the right. Once we kind of are happy with one, we can even duplicate them. Maybe we scale it up. We could change the whole thing, bring it to a new area. Kind of weirded out why these blades are not. I dragged them all at the same time. I'm not sure why they're wanting to be a little bit dip. Oh, wow, look at that. It is not moving them the way I thought it would. We're gonna actually, we're just gonna do that instead. And I can just scale, there we go. I think that will solve our issue. All right, so now we've got new blades. Keyframes are all good. Now I can duplicate it, scale them up, adjust the anchor if I want. Whoa. There we go. Add some blades on top of the other blades. And if we really want to make this dynamic, this one that we put in the foreground here, maybe we actually have this one travel a little bit faster. Better yet, the other one a little slower, so it doesn't go as far. Now let's just go ahead and see how this is going. All right, so we've got multiple blades, kind of going different speeds. I'm not in love with how in the middle here, I know what we need to do. In this blade 2, I'm gonna go ahead and just move one of these light sweeps. The way it's covering the other one is bugging me. So if I move it back just right, there we go. Kind of add that separation there. Okay, got our light sweeps, got our background. Cool, pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead and add a little blur to that. We'll add an adjustment layer. Fast blur will be just fine for this. I'm just gonna add a little bit. I'm actually not gonna go too far. Just enough to set it in there behind him so it's just a hair more than he is. I may even add a little sharpening to him. If I threw an unsharp mask down on his plate, we just add a little bit of sharpening. Yeah, that actually does help quite a bit. Notice how I didn't degrain yet. I'm not even going to. If we wanted to, well, we'll see. Up in the main work, I highly doubt you're going to see any of this grain. But if we wanted to, it would probably be smart to throw this through a reduce noise. We'd render this out as an element, bring it back in, because we don't want it to slow down our comp a whole bunch. I mean, if we wanted to add a little noise to kind of match what's going on with his noise, we could do that. Quickest way to do that would just be to add one of these little noise layers. These are really fast to calculate. A small value, 6-7%, that is adding back some noise, similar to the noise that he's got. And notice how it's underneath him there. So he's sitting on top. And then this is just applying that noise to all of our background. I guess we'll need that same noise as well for the graphics. If I want, I could duplicate that, track mat it to the graphics. All right, great. Everyone's got noise. I'm just gonna dial it back just a hair. His table is a little distracting. I'm just gonna do a quick, yeah. I'm just gonna darken down this area kind of. I might even tint it a little bit to that blue that he's got down there with the lights. So it's not as distracting. That big kind of white bar. We'll pretend that his table kind of goes down and it's darker. We'll add our whatever the approved text is that we're going to be talking about here in the news. Real big news coming. Read it all here in the text down here. But I will make sure that these are aligned to each other. Awesome. So let me just go ahead and check that it's all looking good. We can even RAM preview this. While it's RAM previewing, I'm just kind of making sure everything's organized, named. We can easily backtrack what's going on. All right, let's watch it all back. That looks awesome. Very cool. Before I do any color correction or anything to this, I just want to double check how he's looking in the monitor itself as we go up. So I'm just going to go ahead and go up one by one. We'll go up to screen left. Actually, right out of the box, looking pretty good. And take this moment to make sure that he's fitting in the right spot. I like to do this method here. We're just going to create a solid, make the comp size. I'm just going to really quickly draw a mask. I'm going to go ahead and line it up exactly where I want the footage to be. This is a great way to kind of control it. So I can control his size independently from this. But yeah, I'm kind of lining him up right where the graphics are. You can kind of see where he should be. Once I've got that in position, I will immediately use that as a track mat. And now what I might do is take his scale and err on the side of larger, just slightly. There we go. And then let's go ahead and see what he looks like. If I go up again, go back up to the main work, just go to the first frame. And let's just take a look at him in overall context. I don't think we need to make any major changes to him. Looks good to me. The only thing I might be taking a look at here, as far as the monitor treatments go, if the monitors themselves have a sort of a wash to them or a certain color, you might want to make sure that the element you're comping in also has that with it. Notice how even in the darkest shadows of the monitor that we're comping in, it has some greenish blues to it, and he does not. So go back down into here. You can see that even the darkest values in here have sort of a green tone. The whole monitor has like a bit of color. I'm going to throw levels onto him, and we're just going to bring a tiny bit of green into these shadows here. By lifting this one, you can immediately see some green kind of coming into his coat and coming into the dark areas. That looks great. Maybe I'll even try to see if a little blue needs to come in. That kind of brings it into the same world of what we're looking at here. And that's actually just going to help it sit in there just right. So now I'm just kind of taking a look at it in context with fresh eyes. And I think his background is too bright. That immediately is drawing my eye in a way that I don't like. So I'm going to dive back in and we're just going to adjust it real quick. And I'm just going to do it as an adjustment layer underneath the Newscaster plate, because I feel like he's looking okay. It's just this background behind him. Quickly added a hue sat and the levels. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this background. I'm going to gamma down a little bit. So we're going to bring a little bit more saturation, and maybe we'll just darken it overall as well. You know what I think it might benefit from? Let's go ahead and just throw a quick vignette back here too. Centers the focus on the newscaster. We'll just quickly do an adjustment layer real quick with a big feathered oval. Let's go ahead and set that to subtract. We will put a curves, levels would work fine. Just gonna kind of pull down the midtones here. Nothing like a good old vignette. I'm liking that already a lot better. And I know I said I wasn't gonna adjust the newscaster, but I still might. I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of color correction to this layer of him. It's subtle, but I'm just gonna lift his gamma up just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put that also in this other one. Make sure that the desk gets the same thing. Let's go see back in the main work. Much better, much better. Still might be a bit too bright in the background. There also might just be a hair too much contrast between the blades and the background themselves. Bright in the background, just a hair. And then overall, maybe pull those all down with the CC here. This is kind of nice because it actually makes it feel like his, like the set that he's in is kind of matching the same colors of the lights that are going on his desk. It's all pretty cohesive, looking nice. Let's see what it's like if we blur the background even more. I do want to make sure that the background studio element is not more distracting than he is. He should be the distracting one. That's much better. I really should have taken a screenshot, but it's definitely better. And his background is less intense. Awesome, that's looking good. We are ready to move on.